No, this can't be true. I think I found it. I think I found the solution for all of our shred problems. The right-hand problems all gone. Oh, but I have to be careful because they're watching. They're watching. No, no, they're getting into my house. Oh no, please help me. Please. Hey Guitar Champion, what's going on? Justin Hombach here, back from my practice cave, and welcome to today's video. Yes, and today we are taking a deeper look into a secret technique where I wanted to do some researching and some practicing for a long time now. Today we are talking about something which is commonly known as the elbow technique. But before we start, we have to take away some misinformations and some misconceptions. So the elbow technique. After I have released the ultimate guide for speed picking last year, a lot of things have changed. Not really from what I was saying, but my approach to the stuff that I'm saying here kind of has changed. I got so much more awareness over my picking technique in the last year. And this was none other also because of the help from my community, because you guys were pointing out, hey, take a look at what this guitar player is doing. Can you tell me what this guitar player is doing? And I took again a lot of time into researching with a lot of more awareness into how other guitar players are executing this speed picking technique. There can be different opinions, and this is totally fine, and this is necessarily that we speak about different point of views, different opinions on a certain technique, because when we are not doing it, we cannot grow together. This is for me the most important thing ever. I know that good friends, extremely good guitar players like Kevin Heinrich or Anton Operim or Martin Miller, all these guys that really inspire me and that I really love, they may have a different point of view on speed picking. I can only share my own experience and my own knowledge that I gathered through the last couple of years and share it here with you. So don't be like, oh, there's only that way or that way or that way. Try to gather informations and try to find out for yourself, okay, which one works the best for me. But don't judge other point of views and other opinions on a certain technique. I saw a meme lately where 5 guys are doing chin-ups and everybody's doing a different technique. There was a bodybuilder, there was the athletic kind of guy, there was a gymnast, and everybody was using a different technique, but in the end they got the same result. It's chin-up. And some of you guys point out to me, Justin, you're saying you should do the speed picking motion first of all out of your wrist. But some people are doing it out of the arm. And then I was checking out those guys and I was thinking like, no, they're not doing it out of the arm. They're still using as the main source of movement the wrist and not the forearm. It may look like that they are not really moving the wrist, but this effect comes through a different technique that is adding to the wrist motion, and we are going to take a deeper look into that technique today. I still highly believe that before you should check out pick slanting and before you should check out high speed picking, your picking motion should always come out of your wrist, out of this movement here. I talked about this in the ultimate guide of speed picking, and this is something where I still truly believe in, but maybe not to 100%. I nowadays find out that certain guitar players are not doing 100% wrist movement, they're adding some other parts of their body to help the wrist movement. Like for example, a little bit of forearm movement, like 10%, but still the other 90% are coming from the wrist. And what I often did when I play extremely high tempos, and here now we are speaking about 60-note triplets on 117 BPM or 180 BPM, which are 17 and 18 notes in a second, I tense my muscles, my biceps and my triceps. And I saw some videos from incredible guitar players where they are saying that this is the elbow technique. I would see it a little bit different. I think the elbow technique is when the movement itself comes from the elbow, like this. But while I'm tensing my muscles, the biceps and the triceps, to support my wrist movement, it's still a wrist movement. And so as well it is for most of the incredible high-speed picking guitar players. So maybe we should start calling this technique a little bit differently than the elbow technique. I don't know if Troy Grady, my almighty prophet Troy Grady, already came up with a cool name for this, but I would maybe call it muscle support, because you are using the leftover muscles in your arm to support the picking technique, to make a smaller movement, a smaller motion, and through that smaller motion you can execute higher tempos. For example, when I play in more medium tempo like 16-note triplets and 120, I have nearly no tension in my right arm. Here I'm fully relaxed and I can play only out of the wrist. This part of my arm is nearly completely fixed, so it's all the wrist movement. The faster I get, the more the tense of this arm and the muscles, they increase. Wrist, and now the faster I get, the more I tense my muscles. The more my arm is moving as well. So in higher tempos also my arm is supporting as well with a little bit of movement, but the main movement still comes from my wrist. So but now I had to face a few problems while exploring this kind of technique. And the first problem that I had to face is the control over the intensity on how much I tense my muscle. So for example, I was practicing a 16-note triplet lick on 140 BPM. And there I realized by only doing the wrist movement without any tension on my right arm at all, I couldn't keep up the tempo. So I tried to do it with the muscle tension that I can create. And record myself and then I slow it down to really figure out, am I playing 6 notes per beat? This is now really important for observing your playing and for analyzing your playing. I realized, no, I played 7 notes per beat. So I was too fast. So I had to find a middle way. So this is the first kind of problem where I'm currently working on to find out a way how I can scalable this kind of tension in my arm. Still from the tempo not already there where I want to be. I want to be at 180 BPM. So the next goal for me is, besides figuring out is how I can scale this kind of tension, is can I really put it up to speed, or do I need a different technique, another technique maybe, to get this one really up to tempo. And then the next problem is that, from my experience so far, you lose a lot of dexterity and flexibility in your right hand. And there I'm speaking about techniques like two-way pick slanting, where you really have to use a lot more motion that comes from this kind of wrist rotation, the supination and the pronation. To combine these kind of techniques while your arm is intense is really not that easy. So I have to find a way how I can still use the other motion for more complex picking lines. So I'm not only reliable I'm playing on only downward pick slanting licks and all this kind of stuff, so I can have a little bit more kind of complex licks in my playing as well on this high tempo. So as you can see, there's still a lot of stuff to learn and to practice for me, and this is something that I want to explore on the next couple of 4 weeks, so that in June, around June 26, I can release a video I can give you more answers about this technique, because I was using this kind of technique for a long time, but I didn't use it with a lot of awareness. And like I explained in my last video, awareness is one of the biggest keys to have a controlled and a really clean and precise technique in shredding. How am I going to practice this? Well, I cannot sit down 3 hours a day and just practice this kind of technique, because it is really demanding for my right hand. And I really, after a practice session which goes like half an hour or maybe an hour, I get tired as hell in my right hand. So I have to be a little bit more careful how I practice these kind of things, so I don't want to hurt myself, because it's a lot of force, it's a lot of pressure that you put on your right arm. It can be the danger that I'm hurting myself. It's a dangerous job, but someone has to do it, right? But I'm extremely curious and I'm really happy for this journey, because this could be really interesting for us guitar players and maybe solve some problems that you have when it comes to speed picking in riff playing or in solos, shredding and all this kind of stuff. So let's summarize again. My goals for the next 4 weeks are to find out if I can scale the tension in my right arm to this certain tempo. Like, for example, that I can grow muscle memory that tells me, okay, when I want to play 16-note triplets on 150, I have to push like this. When I want to play like 140, I have to do a little bit less and all this kind of stuff. Maybe a muscle memory can grow there. That could be interesting. Goal number 2 is getting this one up to 180 BPM. And goal number 3 is to make a video about this. I kind of hope that with this kind of technique I can boldly go in tempo directions where no one has gone before. Or maybe some people, because yeah, there are always people who are doing this kind of stuff better than me, which is totally fine. I can learn from them as well. And if you know some guys who, hey, they talked in their videos about this technique already, and you know that these guys are using it, then write it down in the comments. I would love to have more input and more information to grow my awareness about this technique. So, if you want to be with me on this journey, then consider subscribing to this channel. And if you like this video, then like it and maybe share it with your friends, because this could be an interesting journey. I hope I'm going to see you in my next video. So far, back into my practice cave. There's a lot of stuff to do. Cheers and stay progress. Bye.